What's happening, peoples? What's happening? Listen, Sunday. Um, and what we got here is it's an overcast day. Thunderstorms coming throughout. Rainy. Um, Not opportunity to get out and do anything, outside. But I look at days like this as a day to reflect. And reflection means that you got to take accountability for your actions, things that you do, and how you treat people. Yeah. We are in a, I've talked about this before, we're in a very critical stage relationship-wise. I mean, it's just bananas right now. Men, I'm gonna get on men first. We sit back and we try to use all of this stuff to try to position someone, to get them to believe or to get them to see, try to prove a point. The best way to prove a point is just stop dealing with it. That's the best way to prove a point. The best way to prove a point is to stop dealing with it. When you stop dealing with it, it no longer becomes a part of your process. It no longer becomes a part of your thinking process. It becomes no more a part of your DNA, all of that. Because what we have to do is we have to hold ourselves accountable. And men, if we sit back and we cry and concern and do all this kind of stuff about this and about that, all women are not in that same boat. All women are not in a situation whereas they're bad people. There's a lot of good women out here. You just got to search and find that good woman for you. And when you find that good woman for you, you have to make necessary changes and adaptation so that you don't have to continue to be put in a space whereas you could possibly lose that person that you are so-called, quote unquote, attracted to. So, there. The other thing in that is that, men, get yourself a plan. Get yourself a situation whereas you can give something and you can stand on something. You can stand 10 toes down on something that you can offer. And what I mean by offer, and that is that structure, discipline, understanding, compassion. It's not always about you coming out on top or trying to prove a point. And I'll be the first to admit, we all have been in situations where we're trying to prove a point to someone so much to the point whereas we lose focus on what it's all about. Now, if you just harping at somebody just to harp at someone, you got to recognize what's going on. Then that's more of a you problem. Because that will come off as being controlling. But if you're trying to speak something up to, and you got basis to go behind it, then it's not necessarily a you problem. It's an understanding of trying to explain what it is that you're talking about. If you're gonna put stuff out there in the atmosphere, you got to be able to back it up. You got to be able to back that information up. You got to be able to sit here and say, hey, I say this because this makes me feel this way because of this. I don't want to be in a situation because this makes me feel this way. So you have to be understanding of that particular situation. Another thing about men, this is a very hard conversation because let's be realistic. not all men are a woman's first choice. I'm going to repeat that. Not all men are a woman's first choice. Now, when a woman chooses a man, she chooses a man on the realm of, this is somebody who I am attracted to. This is someone that I am physically attracted to. You know, I connect with that person. I feel like they can mentor me. You know, they can show me some things. If you can't teach anyone anything, you're going to lose some respect points. If she feels as if she knows more than you, she has to always kind of bring you into the logist of things, you're going to lose some points. If she's physically not attracted to you, you're going to lose some points. So the only thing that you can do to offset that is you got to be either a yes man, or you got to be either a high earner that really she feels like she's settling for. And that's sometimes why you'll hear women say that they always have to settle, because they're not attracted to the person that they're with. So you have to identify that aspect, okay? The other part of it is that you can start off with your money. You can start off with your growing area. Eventually, those things wear thin and they wear out. Because it's not a shiny new toy anymore, you know. First levels of any situation is always going to be when it's a new toy. You're going to play with it the most. After a while, what are you going to do with that toy? You're going to put it aside. So men, you have to make yourself available to the point whereas you don't put yourself aside. You're not put aside. You don't, you know, your woman is not putting you aside to do some other thing or to have some other situation. And try to be as transparent as you possibly can, you know. Transparency, it might be hard and difficult times to go through. And it might make you ask questions that you have to be really and seriously dedicated to, because if you're completely honest with a woman, you're allowing for her to make a choice. Whether or not she wants to deal with that or she don't. That is her choice. She can choose whether or not she wants to deal with that. She can choose whether or not she wants to agree to it. But understand that there's going to be terms on negotiation. The only time that you have no negotiation is when you have full control. Now, the likelihood, because only 10% of the population in the world makes over 100,000, and there's less than 1% that makes over 300,000. You know, so what you're talking about, that means that 90% of the men that are out here got to get support from some other way. Whether it is she paid the light bill, you pay the mortgage or rent, and she pays cable, electric bill, things of that nature. You know, so that's what Kevin Samuels says, a 70-30 split, 60-40 split. What is the split that you want to have? So you have to be transparent and understand that, allow for them to make their choice. When they make the choice, then hey, they have an understanding of, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I've signed up to. The problem comes in is when we as in people start to try to change the negotiation. You know, oh, well, I want to be able to have this woman and that woman and that woman. No. What it's about is the simple fact that for you to be in that position, you got to first of all be one of that, either the 1 or 10%. Because they can dictate how they want to go about doing or what they're doing. The other thing in that is that that's very imperative. It's very imperative. Understand when it's the right time for you to dedicate yourself, because a lot of times we dedicate ourselves because we either meet a person that we love them, we care about them, we not necessarily have gotten all of that out of us, or we don't have a definition or destination of what we want to be, but we go ahead and we marry, because we feel as if, okay, if I don't, I'm gonna lose it. And that's not the way to go, because the understanding of it is that when you meet someone, you want it to be a kinetic situation. You want it to be an equal situation. How do we respond to one another? How is what we have? Is it love? Is it lust? Is it is it convenience? Is it any of that? Now we get with people out of convenience. Conveniency has its limitations. It does. It has its limitations. It has its limitations because what you're dealing with is, once it's not convenient, what are you doing? What is being done? We get in relationships because of frequency of sex. And at what point, that has a time stamp on it, because as a person gets older, their bodies are going to develop. Men, when you're young, your body metabolizes food processes a lot quicker. So if you're active, you have a tendency to stay slimmer. So as you get older is when you start getting a spare tire. When you start sitting and your metabolism starts to change, your testosterone level starts to deplete, then that's when you start to see the weight gain. Now, if you're not actively trying to rectify that, then what will happen is that will cause health concerns. That will cause health issues, concerns, things of that nature that's going to hit you later in life. The other part of it is that, which is the number one thing, most men will say, well, she had my kids, so I wanted to make sure that they were legitimized. And that's cool and fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to show love. Because if you're going to be in that space as a man and being a father, that means that you're going to have to be around the mother. So you have to quickly identify whether or not we can successfully do this. Because if we can't do it, then we need to think of alternative reasons and things to go. Because what you're looking at is that if we're coming into the house every day and all we're doing is arguing, the children are looking at that. The children are watching that. And so they're thinking that this is the way that we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be in an argument. A lot of behavior that we get as adults, we got it as a child. It was taught to us as a child. And so that's what helps us come up with these crazy conclusions about how I think and about this and about that. Men be men. Seek help and try to find the answers that you need to become a whole man, a whole person. It's not about, hey, no, it's about the fact that a man is always going to be a diplomat. And what I mean by a diplomat, as a king, as a man who has some constrictions about himself, he's going to have to evaluate his life. And he's going to have to say, hey, I got to make decisions that are necessarily not for the betterment of just me, but what's the betterment for the family. As a man, that's what we have to identify and we have to set forth. Precedents. Whenever a man makes a decision, it's not going to be about who benefits from the decision. It's going to be about what is the best for the family. And if a man starts to think in that realm, There's going to be some battles that he's going to win. There's going to be the battles that he loses. But it's for the betterment of the family. So take heed to the words that I'm saying. Man, everything is not always about sex. Everything's not always about how much money you have, because you can be a provider. You can make a lot of money and be a horrible person. You can be a horrible person, and that's just straight up. You know, there's a lot of guys out here that are assholes, but they got that guap. They got that guap, and they know they got that guap, so they utilize that advantage. And the question is that manipulation? Is that a form of manipulation when you know that you have the money and you utilize the money to get the things that you want to have? Or is it that you're secure enough to the point where whatever it is that you're doing, the movements that you're making are directed towards one common goal and what's the best interest? Now, females. I want you guys to pay attention, because men are telling you how they feel. If you choose not to listen to what it is that a man is explaining to you, then you cannot, if you're not listening to what it is that a man is telling you that he like, that he don't like, things of that nature, because we do have the right to choose all of that. We have the right to choose whether or not we want to deal with a woman who has, who's mouthy. We have the right to choose to deal with a woman who's manipulates situations. We have a right to choose whether or not we want to deal with a woman that has a toxic behavior. That is a choice that we have, and if we choose not to deal with that, that's what that is. But please identify and realize the fact that just because you got people that are in your DM, your emails, your messages, voice messages, 2 o'clock calls, 1 o'clock calls, whatever the situation may be, that doesn't mean that that man puts you in a wife category or even a girlfriend category, because of the simple fact that what they're doing is they're saying, hey, listen, I just want to have sex with you, and I'll do whatever it takes for me to have sex with you. So identify that. Now, but you got to listen, and you got to be honest with when you're listening to him. If he's telling you this is what he wants, he has every right to do that, just like you have every right to choose what it is that you choose to have. If you want a man that is so tall, makes X amount of money, and he is nice on the eyes, he smells good, he dresses good, understand and realize that that man has far more options than the guy that's not that attractive, who's maybe 5'5", 5'6", and he's an average earner. So understand that. So in that premise, if you're dealing with a guy that you choose and you want to have a relationship with this man, understand that if he is at a certain level and at a certain criteria, there's a vast majority of people that are coming to look for him. And as opposed to the one that doesn't get a lot of options. Now, if you chose a man that don't have a lot of options, be okay with that, or if not, don't put that man through that. Don't put that man through that process, because if you're not feeling the man, then guess what? Your options are gonna always be open. A young lady told me something a while back, and so she was saying, hey, listen, I got some guy had asked about her, and I said, hey, I wasn't gonna say anything because I know that you got someone, I know that you have someone, and she said to me, straight out of her mouth, she said, a woman always keeps her options open. Wow. Okay. So that's what she said to me, and I had to identify that, and I had to process that, because what does that say? A woman who doesn't value losing what she has always thinks that she deserves or she can get more. That's the only time that she will put herself in that position where she feel like she can lose you. And okay, well, kick rocks. But when a woman values the relationship that she has, when she has a man that can sit back and lead, mentor, provide protection, provision, at whatever level it is, has a little bit about himself, understand that that's just where that man is. And if you're not comfortable with that, be okay. You guys say, hey, I don't need nobody, I don't need this, I don't need no one. Then stop having those sneakaboo parties where the guy come over at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock when the kids go to sleep. Stop having those situations where you're dealing with a person knowing that it's not going anywhere. Why are you giving them your body? If you know that it's not going anywhere, why are you giving them your body? But if you know that this is the one for you, if you know that this is the man that you choose, then why do you put him through the things that you put him through? If you guys, if the guy, he's respectful, never threatens you to the point where he wants to, do a DV situation, try to put hands on you, things of that nature. He's respectable. You like his style. There's something about him, whether or not it's his style, it's his smell, it's his look, it's his build. It's something that you're attracted to. Build on that. He might not be the most attractive guy, but he got a nice body. Build off of that. If he's a good dresser, good provider, just all out good man. Build on the assets that you know that are positive. Don't build off of something that's negative and make a decision based upon a negative thought, because you'll never make a sound decision on a negative thought. You got to make a sound decision on sound mind. So always evaluate that situation and that premise of how you're going to go about doing things. But my advice to women, to the women that are out here, to the ones that will view this information, take the time out to listen without trying to respond. Please listen without trying to respond to what it is that he's saying, because you take it offensively. You got to take the emotion the emotional part out of it, and you got to think logically to the point where it's okay. Why is this man saying this to me? Why is he telling me that he doesn't like this about me? The better question is that if he chose to go out and do something else with someone else, then you already know the answers to the question. All the conversations that he's had with you, and he's told you that, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that. I want to be with you, and I want to be with you, but you're not listening to any other thoughts and the patterns that I have and the processes that I want, that I deem will make me happy. So my happiness doesn't mean nothing to no one. And that's a sad place to be in. As a man, that's a sad place to be. That's a sad place to be because I got to go out here and do all of this stuff to make you feel wanted, make you feel needed. And when I provide all of those things to you, what I get back is, who gonna check me, boo? That sounds controlling. You're trying to control my time. You're trying to control what I do. What type of relationship you can be in to the point where a person can sit back and decide they can go out when they want to, leave when they want to, come back when they want to, and you're supposed to be okay with it? What type of relationship is that? But I understand that's why partnerships is the biggest influx of what people are trying to say now. I want a partner. That's changing the goal. That's changing the rules. Marriage is marriage. Relationships are relationships. If you want to build to a marriage, you got to formulate under a guideline, rules. There's rules that are set aside. That's the reason why I say, this, and this. At the end of the day, we make decisions that we pay for. A lot of times we made some decisions that, man, if I get opportunity to get out of this situation, I'm not going to get back in it. And 9 times out of 10, we get right back in it because we didn't do the self-healing. We didn't do anything that would change our thought process as far as the people that we pick and we choose. Because I guarantee you, if we pick and choose differently, we'll have a different result. I hope you take the words that I've said, utilize them, like, subscribe, comment. But let's get it together. Smoke well, my friends. Enjoy.